I can almost remember. I wanted to hurt you. In my voice.
The vocal modulator was high priority, probably passed on to your cells for identity masking and covert operations. I've determined that all of your enhancements activate in response to your fight-or-flight mechanisms. You knew you were in danger, and your enhancements responded.
Responded? They responded by trying to kill you. You weren't trying to hurt me.
Aya, are you tracking neuropatterns?
Yes. Approaching critical
Quit
levels.
talking to yourself and talk to me. What happened out there?
Ebony, please calm down.
I can't calm down until you give me a reason. Now what? Ow! What did you... What?
Just breathe easy. It's only a mild sedative. You're okay.
You can sit back. Seriously,
Okay.
you can sit back. It's all good. So, I mean, like, you're done. I mean, what is that? Is that, like, a big relief to you to be done with, like... I mean, not just with Ebony, but, I mean, like, well, you were done with Aya months ago, or however long that was.
Mm-hmm.
But this, was taking a while to get it on the schedule to finally finish up this last scene. Does it just feel like a relief to be done?
That was pretty much the only emotion going into it. And then when we said, that's wrap,
Yeah.
and Ebony's done, got a little sad.
Yeah. Seriously? Are you just saying
No,
that?
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no more Ebony.
Yeah.
It's a little sad.
Yeah.
She's been around for 10 years or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, and this is probably, I mean, I'll never say never, but it's probably the last time I'll rope you into acting for an audio drama.
That'd be great.
I mean, you got roped in to this way back for the stage show for the original. That's how
Yeah.
you got Ebony's, because you're sleeping with the guy who created the thing. I'm trying to remember if like when we met on that tour, on the Continentals tour, I had brought some chapters of Spirit Blade along I was working on. What I can't quite remember is if I had created the Ebony character yet. Because I, for as long as I can remember, I've based her in several respects on you. That she's quiet, and certainly in the relationship with her and Merrick, she's, the one that does the grown-up stuff. Although I couldn't have anticipated that, but I mean, she's the one that is serious and gets things done and has her, her foot more firmly planted in the real world, whereas Merrick's the creative artist or whatever, and
Yeah, I don't know. I know you were writing at the time of our tour,
yeah.
but I don't think you had a lot done.
No.
Was it just a couple chapters? Like chapter 2, were you writing?
Yeah, you know what? I'll bet I didn't have Ebony done. I'll bet I didn't even have. It was you know what? I'll bet it was just that introductory kind of like business with Vincent and Rand going into the Atlantis building.
Yeah.
Because Ebony, in the book, Ebony doesn't appear until later. Like, if the first time we meet Merrick, he's jumping out of a window, and he's kind of having those flashback thoughts, and like, oh, how did I arrive at this point and stuff. But Ebony isn't in. Whereas in the audio drama, she's in the first scene with Merrick. But I mean, in the book, she's not in for. So I'll bet I hadn't created her yet. I'll bet I started creating. I'll bet I added her in after I met you. So, which means that she's even more based on you than I. Yeah. And I remember why, too. Yes, I totally remember why
You
now.
thought I was awkward.
Well, no. I mean, I did. I thought you were socially awkward somehow. It's because of that weird drunk eye you get when you laugh really, really hard. No, it was because I felt like I could never write romance. Because I was like, I have no experience with that. So why even bring, like, a woman into the story? Because I don't know any women. So how would I write one?
You could have based one off one of your sisters.
I could have, yes.
But romance, yeah, it might have been harder.
And maybe I was just too narrow-minded. I was like, well, that's the only reason you bring a woman into a story is for romance. Yeah.
But there wasn't even really romance.
No, if anything, I was thinking of pairing her up with, like Vincent. I think originally I was thinking of pairing her up with Vincent. Yeah, it was Vincent. was Vincent I was originally thinking of pairing her up with. But yeah, I mean, the only reason you got pulled into this was, because, I mean, we had a lot of good actors at the church, as far as community theater level actors, But we didn't at the time. I'm trying to think. I don't think there were any that were like Ebony's age. Like Joy Curry was great, and she played Des Carowin. She was the first one that comes to mind when I think of like a strong female actor.
Yeah.
But she would have been too old, for the part, especially since we were doing it live, and you could see this person, it would have been, might have seemed a little strange to pair her with me, or not, or pair her, not, I guess there wasn't a relationship being set up, so, I don't know.
She was just older than you were thinking
Maybe,
Ebony was going to be.
I guess so, I guess so. And I was thinking of like Merrick and Ebony being friends, and like kind of like in the same stage of life, you know. And, knowing her character type, I thought, well, it's not going to require a lot of intense emotional stuff. And then when I thought when I realized I wanted to do some things that would be kind of emotionally intense, and I knew that you were uncomfortable and feeling like, I don't want to mess this up and stuff like that. You were just out of your comfort zone, and I wasn't sure, honestly, what I would be able to pull out of you, And so then in Dark Ritual, that's when I came up with the idea of, well, let's have her do some kind of like body transformation thing, and get another, and then got Brittany in there, who had definitely more acting experience and more of a personality that could lend itself to kind of those expression of extreme emotions and stuff, and she wasn't even on the radar when we did the first one. I don't know.
No, she wasn't around or too young or
because 2004 was the live show. And then it wasn't until like 2007 that I was casting for Dark Ritual. I think 2006, maybe 2007. And but then we ended up having you do this Aya character, and so even though it wasn't extreme emotional stuff, you had like way more dialogue in Dark Ritual than you did in Spirit Blade.
Yep.
And I think somewhere in that process, I just kind of was seeing what I could get out of you. And I can't remember when I made the decision that I would want to change you back.
Did it have anything to do with Brittany moving?
That's what I'm trying to remember. It might have. I think I just thought maybe that would be simpler. But I also felt like you could do it. And I think there's also potential for people to not to kind of disconnect from Ebony as a character if they have to adjust to this very different voice, and it also took away a lot of kind of her personality, because she was, as there's a joke in the...
And she was a cheerleader.
Yeah, there's a joke in the script. Is that Ebony that says that, or Ran? I think it was Ebony. It kind of sounded like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I think that's Ebony's line. It's like, I kind of sounded like a cheerleader. I'm glad that's over with,
Yeah, that was quite a personality change.
Yeah. And Ebony was, the Holly version of Ebony was still kind of around through Aya. It was going to be really hard to forget,
Yeah.
And so I think that was another reason. It's like, here Rand is like fixating on this Holly version of Ebony, not the Brittany version of Ebony. And so that connection, if I'm hopefully doing my job right, is what people are rooting for, is for Rand to get together with the Holly Ebony. They're seeing this simulation of that in his interactions with Aya. But it was, it was a little bit of a risk in my mind to like have you change back.
Yeah.
But I just knew that you love me and you would let me stretch you and do crazy things, and
I feel like that the physical stuff that you had me do tonight is way easier than trying to come up with, I don't know, regular lines or something, like not, I guess, more emotional lines, but like this was just like That's a good way to get me panning. Do some push-ups.
Yeah.
It's a good way to trash my voice. Get me yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
It's much easier for me to just physically do something than to try to emotionally think about a line and how it should be said. And I don't know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
so in some ways, I mean, you had to tell me what to do, but it felt easier to do this than, I guess, I'm just less sure of myself doing the other stuff. So.
All right. All done. Oh, once your voice recovers sometime in the future, I'll sit you down for a video interview. You actually sound a little bit more like you're crying now that your voice has crashed.